In this question, the easy answer is I've never had a conflict with a coworker. They love me and I love them and it's all great, right? But we all know, especially if you've been in the business world quite a while, it doesn't always work that way. Even your best buddies at work, sometimes you might have a disagreement or conflict, right? And this question is asked from the perspective of like, not that you had a conflict or a disagreement, but how did you solve it? How did you work through it? What is your emotional intelligence around this? How do you control your emotions? How do you understand the emotions of others? And then how do you go about being a professional? And that's what you want to portray. I'm a professional. So you could answer the question about, yeah, it's a disagreement. Here's how we work through it. And we all were friends afterwards and we're great. It's a good way to answer this type of question. So think of a specific example in your own personal nature, but here's an example from me. More along the lines of a misunderstanding is a good way to put it. Better word than conflict. Well, I can't say that I've ever had a real big conflict with anybody. Certainly some people have different points of view or sometimes there's misunderstandings. I remember this one particular time that really was more of a misunderstanding where one person wrote an email about their point of view on this particular project we were working on. I took a little offense to it because it was way off base and I didn't know where they were coming from. So, I called the person up and I said, where are you coming with this? This doesn't make any sense to me. And then they kind of got in a little bit of argument with me and they said, well, this is my point of view. Why don't you understand? And what ended up happening was we slowed down, we took our time, we both got our points of view out, and really it was more of a misunderstanding of our perspectives. And I need to understand her perspective and respect it. And she understood my perspective and respected that. But there was 99% there was agreement. And on one part, we had a little agreement to disagree, for example. But the idea was, and what happened was, we were able to solve this and move forward. I think the key thing was if there is a disagreement or a conflict, that you hit it head on and you have the discussion. Because if you do that, what I found in almost all cases that everything gets solved and then we can all move forward and really accomplish our goals. Okay, so there was an example. I didn't even get into specific details of what was said or she said, he said or she said or anything like that, or I was right and she was wrong. Didn't get any of that kind of stuff. I talked about how she had her perspective and I respected it. And I had my perspective and how we worked it out together. So we didn't have conflicts, we had misunderstandings because we are professionals and we can work together. And if you hire me, that's what you're going to get. Somebody who fits well, can do the job, and plays and works well with others.